My name's Lynea Wallace. I am really excited to share with you guys and 1 Million Cups Infinite Horizons Center.
Welcome, Lynea.
Thanks. Hopefully I can figure out the clicker because I wasn't taught. Oops. All right, so my name's Lynea. I am the co-founder of Infinite Horizons Center. My co-founding partner, her name is Lynea Gerbasi, and we have created Infinite Horizons Center. So a couple of things. Our company started, this organization really started on a want and need for our children and for our community. Gracie and Cody are Liddy's 2 children, and they have learned through the educational system that traditional learning has been difficult for them. Alexandra and William are my 2 children. They are both autistic, and we too are navigating the educational system here in Billings, as well as the therapeutic programs here in Billings for our children. So I want to share with you a couple of stories. So I want to introduce a family to you. This is a single parent who is navigating life after addiction, who is utilizing government funds to support her family. Her child is autistic. He is 3, and he is now entering the public school preschool program, as well as Head Start. Neither environment is ideal for this child. Gaps in services at both locations are difficult, and mom can't afford a private preschool. Mom also cannot afford to take this child to and from therapies multiple times a day, weeks. This child needs occupational therapy to help with some regulation strategies, as well as applied behavior analysis to help with some behavior management that is now affecting his everyday life. Another family I want to introduce you to is a working family, 2 parents, not receiving government funds. This family wants their child to receive a high quality early education to prepare them for kindergarten. This family also wants their child to grow up and learn in an environment that is inclusive, that is understanding, empathetic, that builds friendships with all sorts of types of children. At Infinite Horizons Center, we get to cater to both of those families and to families in between them, depending on their needs. So our preschool program is going to service children ages 3 to 6, and our therapeutic programs will service children 2 to 8. At Infinite Horizons Center, we will be the hub for preschool and therapy all in one space to help with the accessibility to parents, to be able to take their child and drop them off in the morning, pick them up in the afternoon, and know that within their day they're getting all the services they need, so therapy, preschool. The other really exciting part of Infinite Horizons Center is our family support programs. Raising children is hard. Raising children with higher support needs is even more difficult, and we need people to walk alongside these parents, including myself. And so our family support programs will help cater to that, teaching skills, teaching how to parent their child differently if they want, being able to provide courses and classes for parents that want to come through the program. So some of our biggest challenges so far has been getting other organizations in Billings that are well known, that have built community trust already, to kind of back IHC. As a new organization, it's really difficult to start with an idea that's new and different in Billings and to say, we know the need, but our community, we need to back that too. So kind of that partnership looks like ease of referral into our programs, walking through community events together, scholarship, name recognition. Another big challenge that we are facing is just community awareness as a new organization, being able to get our word out to everybody and get some enrollment going. And of course, costs. Our startup costs as a new organization serving medical and educational is running at about $400,000 for the first 6 months. Things we've tried. So without a building and with 1 hired staff, we already have 19 kids pre-enrolled into our programs. So that just shows that the need is there, and Billings needs this. We're also on social media, Facebook, Instagram, website, all there. Things that we've learned. So community need is high. I know as a parent with children with autism that I could have used this program, but our pre-enrollment shows that there's a huge gap in our services in our community. Our low to middle income families are struggling to find wraparound services and even services in general. That accessibility to programs in one spot where parents are not having to drive to and from locations to get the support for their child. And then those family support programs. We know that we need them. I need them. So, all right. So you can connect with me here. My email is there. Our website is there. And then we're also on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for having me.
Wow, you were prepared. That was really good. Thank you so much. I'll start off with my first question, then we'll open it up to the audience, and I'll bring the microphone around so everybody that's on Facebook can hear you. Is obviously you set yourself up as a nonprofit,
yes,
which obviously was very intentional for a lot of reasons. So I'm assuming you're going to be writing for some grants and some other additional funding. Do you want to speak to that?
Sure. Yes. So we are 501c3. So we set that up intentionally because we want this to be our community program. We don't want it to, we know that it will benefit our co-founders, but we want it to benefit our community more. And so yes, we are applying for grants, for scholarships. I think many people are applying for grants. And so being able to rely on those funds is something we're not doing. And it has been a difficult process to receive some grants.
Especially being new.
Yes.
It's not proven, like a lot of other organizations that. But I love the fact that everything's under one roof as far as the the therapy piece plus the educational piece. I mean, my children went to private early childhood, and it was a huge investment.
Yes.
Let's just say that for sure. But it's always paid off. So thank you for what you're doing.
Of course.
Love that.
Thank you.
I'll open it up. Emily's got a question.
Lynea, you have had some success with fundraising, and so just so that the community kind of understands where you're at and the gap that you're looking at, will you talk a little bit about the success that you've already had and what you've already been able to do so that you're ready to open in September?
Yeah. So Billings is a small town, even though we are the biggest in Montana. Building community connections has really been my focus for the past year. Building relationships, speaking, and trying to get people invested in what we're doing. So we have raised $174,000 in the past 6 months for Infinite Horizon Center by community sponsors and donors. Our town is super giving and compassionate, and they know the need that we are providing. So that has been really exciting. We have received some matching grants, but for the most part, our funds have been raised through private donors in our community. And then those 19 kids, I feel like that just shows as a parent to pre-enroll your child into a program that doesn't have a building yet, that doesn't have hired staff where you can see their picture and say, that person looks like a good teacher or that person looks like a good therapist. That first initial go through of looking at services for your child is super impactful to us as the organization to know that we need this. 19 children. Our preschool program hopes to service 48 children in our preschool programs. So we're getting close to halfway and we don't even have a building. We don't have enrollment completely open. It is just pre-enrollment saying, I'm interested in some of the programs that you are providing. So that's been really exciting. But I think the biggest thing that we've really accomplished so far is those community connections and sharing what we're doing and why we're doing it and hoping to bring something different to Billings and to our families with autistic and non-autistic children.
Well, you're doing a great job of telling the story, because that's really what it is, right? That's what you started, telling the stories of those families, which was great. I was just thinking about this regards to the building or not. So a lot of times I'll say, if you're going to build a church, let's say, there's a certain faction of people that will invest before the church is built, but there's also a certain faction that will say, well, once it's built and I see that it's there, then I'll invest and I'll donate. So I'm sure you're kind of experiencing some of the same things, right?
We really are. There is nothing like this in Montana that has this model. And so to be able to prove that we believe there will be success is very difficult right now. But yes, many other organizations and businesses have said, hey, once we see that this is working, give us another call, which has been wonderful. Unfortunately, to start, those funds are needed. And so that's been kind of a barrier for us. But we are comfortable enough where we are to open in September.
Danielle's got a question.
Great.
Oh, I have so many questions, but I'm gonna not hog the mic and just ask one. So my sister was a foster parent here in Billings, and at one point, I think she had 7 or 8 children, and most of those kids are preschool age. And my brother-in-law was unable to work for a good portion of the time because the kids needed to go to multiple therapies all week long and different schools and all of these things. So you mentioned with your 2 stories that you guys serve families like the one you gave, families like my sister and brother-in-law, and then families who want to pay for private preschool. So can you tell us a little bit about the current fee structure, like with the 19 kids that you already have pre-enrolled? Like what does it look like to sign up your child here, depending on your circumstances?
Yeah, 100%. So we're really excited at Infinite Horizon Center to be able to provide a sliding scale tuition for our preschool program. We know that there is a gap in our low to middle income families being able to pay for and access early education as well as therapeutic programs. And so that is really exciting for Infinite Horizon Center to be able to service families all over the spectrum of income. So our preschool program is tuition-based, again, sliding scale, and then when funds are available, we will also provide supplemental scholarships for families to potentially lower that cost of it per month for tuition. To kind of enroll into our programs, right now it's a pre-enrollment, and so you go to our website, there's an online form that you just fill out. It's a Google Doc that says, these are kind of the services that I'm interested in, gives your child's name and date of birth so we can kind of see where you are in need. And then as soon as we have secured our building, we will open it up for enrollment applications. So once that is done, we will send a formal application over a Google form probably. And then you are put into one of our programs, depending on your age. So our preschool programs will have 2 classrooms, so our 3 and 4-year-olds and our 5 and 6-year-olds. Our programs will run Monday through Thursday, half days, and then Fridays are full days for our kids going into kindergarten. And that Friday full day will look and run just like a kindergarten classroom. To be able to provide them with skills of transitioning, of lunch, of centers, of all the things that children go into in going into kindergarten to help alleviate some of that stress on parents, but also children not knowing the expectations of what kindergarten looks like. So that's kind of the pre-enrollment. Our 19 children so far, like I said, are just pre-enrolled. So give or take, if any of those families decide, it's not for me, it is for me, we're not sure. I guess to run our preschool program effectively and efficiently, tuition's looking at about $750 for the Monday through Friday course. But then from there, like I said, that sliding scale will all go down depending on where you fall kind of in our tier brackets.
Let me ask you a question. You spoke about your children being autistic.
Yeah.
You talked about the spectrum. Several friends that have autistic children. So they talk a lot about ABA therapy.
Yeah.
Is that something that you guys hope to be able to offer within Infinite Horizons?
Yeah, so our therapeutic programs at Infinite Horizon Center will be applied behavior analysis, ABA, speech and language pathology, or speech and language therapy, and then occupational therapy. And I think
maybe explain it for people that don't know what that is.
And the horizon is like, it's infinite, and that's kind of the reason for the name. Knowing that we can change and adapt and add or take away programs as we need or see fit for our community. So applied behavior analysis is a intense therapy that many autistic children are recommended for. It really focuses on a behavior that is problematic in their everyday life and how to adjust that behavior to be more functional in their everyday life. There's a lot of history on ABA, some good, some bad. The approach that Infinite Horizons Center takes is, so Lynea Kerr, she is a BCBA, so she runs her own ABA clinic here in Billings. And her philosophy is, I need to teach a skill, but I need to make it practical for the child, right? So how do I do that? It's not full-time ABA. We want the child immersed in school or social situations and interactions, because you can teach a skill, but if you can't use it practically, then what's the point of teaching a skill, right? So our approach at Infinite Horizons Center is going to be teaching skills and then using it in their everyday life, which is school, because that's where they're going to spend most of their time moving forward after preschool is in a school setting. So that is kind of our approach to ABA. Research is showing that full-time ABA, 40 hours a week, is the most beneficial for children with autism, but we look at it a little differently, as we want to teach these skills, but we want them to be able to use them otherwise.
Sure. Oh, I love it.
Why teach it?
Who's next? Shelly.
I feel like there's people you can partner with. I don't know who they are, but I feel like they're out there, because I think there's people. I think there's a need for this, and people that come here frequently. Have we heard something like this before, or am I dreaming? I'm dreaming. Well, there's people that are desiring a different form of education, and people that are desiring having something outside of traditional education. You know, for sure. We've heard that before.
Yeah.
I mean, my husband's a middle school teacher in the Billings public schools, and he even knows that. So I feel that there's other people that are, I don't know, and I don't know where to find them, but I also feel like there's existing grants and things that maybe you can align with. It's very therapy centered, but maybe there's a mental health approach that you can take that seems to have some money in it. So I feel like, I mean, I think of Melanie Schwartz, who runs the Mind Wellness University. Like, I think that might be a good connection just to explore and have some conversations about what opportunities are out there, because this is a big thing. You're putting together a whole new program, whole new school, and it's a decent chunk of money, and you've raised a lot of money, but you have to keep going after that.
Sure.
And so it's trying to figure out a sustainable model. It might be good to think about partnering with someone, or is there a possibility of partnering with a hospital? I don't know.
Yeah, so thank you for that feedback. So yes, I have sat down with both hospitals, given great feedback. Again, kind of that hesitation is this going to work the way you dream it's going to work? Is it going to produce what you say and hope it's going to produce? And so for big businesses and organizations, it is a business. And so to invest in it, they want some sort of reassurance that it's going to be successful. And so I think that's where we're kind of stuck right now, is this, we have a dream. We know that there are organizations that can support us, even if it's not financially, but they want to see success first.
Could you run a pilot without a center, right? Like run a pilot program, like a summer pilot program, and get some data from that before you invest in a larger center?
Sure. So
that would be something to get you some
data
for support.
Definitely something that we've thought about, being able to, because it's a part of medical, we have to hire high quality or highly certified staff. And so finding those staff has been actually pretty difficult here in Billings, because big therapy centers are able to provide insurance and all the benefits that come with being part of a big organization, where IHC is not quite there yet. And so, yes, we would love to start now, today, but we don't have the staff yet. And so we do have a BCBA, and that is the person that will be overseeing our applied behavior analysis program, our ABA program. And that has been a huge success for us because there aren't very many of them here in Billings. So that is really exciting to know that when September comes, we can start our ABA program and our preschool program. I am a licensed special education teacher here in Billings, not teaching anymore. So I will oversee the preschool program as the certified teacher and then mentor our preschool teachers. So not having to hire certified teachers to teach the preschool program, I kind of will be the umbrella for them in training and resources. As far as everything else goes, it's just, there's so many added things, right? Insurance, liability, all of the things that come with teaching children and having a medical component to it. There's so many moving parts that even looking at where we are now in June, it's going to be pushing September. So,
question right here.
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing something much more ambitious, but years ago I was involved in helping to start a cooperative preschool when my kids were at that age. And one of the things that really helped it get off the ground, it's still running, was that there was a space. There was a place that they donated space for it to exist. So I was just curious, I wasn't clear, are you guys looking to, that you need your own building to start, or are you looking to, start someplace where maybe with some donated space and then eventually get to a building?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
So we are in the final stages of signing a lease with a building, a space. And so hopefully within the next few days that is ready and done. So we need a substantial amount of space. So ideal would have been 6,000 square feet for what we want. We are in our building about 4,600 square feet is kind of the space that we have decided that we can be comfortable with. And so finding spaces that are set up with classrooms and therapy rooms, all of those things is difficult in Billings. They're either already utilized by a therapy center or by a medical organization. And so it's taken us about 5 months to find this space, and this space wasn't easy to find. And so we're excited about that space. We're excited to have the amount of space. It is pretty much a blank slate, and so they are having to do the construction to build it to the way that we need it to be set up.
Let me ask you a quick question. I know Danielle has a question. When you started to cast this vision, because you have a board,
Mm-hmm.
and you have this kind of a core group of people that are kind of behind it, right?
Yes.
And so obviously that's a big step of faith for everybody, right?
Yes.
And I think people sometimes think that starting a nonprofit is easy, and we all know that it takes a lot of time.
It does.
And so it's taken a lot of fortitude. What has that been like to kind of keep the team kind of rallied? Because all of these people own businesses, and they are also casting a vision for themselves, for their organization, for their business. So I'd love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, so our board is currently made up of parents with children with autism, medical professionals, lawyers, speech and language pathologists, school psychologists. And so they all know the need in Billings, can personally attach themselves to our mission. But I think Lydia and I are so passionate about this, and me specifically having 2 children that are autistic, knowing how beneficial this program would have been for my children at the preschool ages, sharing and just, I think, being able to see the horizon, the names, anyways, to see that start, to be able to know that our community needs this. I think the 19 pre-enrolled has really shown our board oh my gosh, this was a dream, obviously, but the community is needing this service. Our board works with or has autistic children, and so they know the community need. And so I think that has really helped us in being able to say, we know what our community wants and needs.
Well, it's funny because Scott and I were just talking this morning. When you own a business or you have an organization, you have a passion. You just spoke to that. Then you're like, I want to help people, I want to help kids, I want to do this. But then you're like, oh gosh, I got to market this thing, I got to go raise money. Apparently, I have to pay taxes, and there's all these things, right, that can sometimes suck the fun and the passion out of it. What has that been like for you?
It has been, so we started back in April, of this dream, so last April, so in 2025. And I did not know what came with starting a nonprofit. Obviously we can all have dreams and say, oh, but this is why this dream hasn't already been developed yet, because there's so many moving parts and so many things from bylaws and from your licensure and hiring staff and creating all of the foundation for an organization. It has been tiresome. It's very exhausting and not easy, on top of, working a full-time job and having 2 children with autism and supporting my family and being a wife and a community member and all of the things. I can say I was tired. I am tired, but I think the most important thing to me is I grew up in Billings and this is my home, and I want better for my children, for children like my children. I want someone to walk alongside of me. I want to walk alongside of other people to say, we're doing this life together. Let's support each other. And I think IHC really just does that for everybody.
Okay, I do add 2 parts. Okay, so I know you mentioned you are a licensed teacher, and that will kind of be that program there. Have you thought about the percentage of kids who end up in an alternative schooling situation, like homeschooled, or and if you don't know Mallory Buns,
yeah, I do.
Okay, so that was part 1. Might just be something to consider, that they may not all go through traditional school, and so make some connections in the alternative school community. And then part 2 was, when you mention hiring staff, I'm assuming that the goal is to have like full-time therapists at the school, right? Is that okay? Have you thought about, before it necessarily becomes imperative that they be full-time there, that maybe you can have some contract employees where an occupational therapist who's in private practice and has, her own office somewhere could maybe come to the building on on the days that she has a lighter caseload, she can come to the school, and that would be when those kids would have access to that therapy, while you have a smaller space and a smaller, load of children and those kinds of things. Because then you could contract with people who have their own businesses instead of having to hire staff.
Yeah, so that is actually something that we're kind of maneuvering right now, because we've seen such a difficulty in hiring speech pathologists and occupational therapists, is contracting. So that is an avenue that we are kind of exploring and thinking that that's probably where we're going to have to start.
Yeah, I was thinking that when Daniel said that, like, licensure candidates, could they be possibly in the mix? They're not fully licensed, but they're trying to get their hours in.
Yep, 100%. Yes. Yes, for sure.
Good point.
Okay, 2 things. 1, could you go back to some of the hospitals you said, or some of those higher level who are wanting traction from you, and say, okay, what is the milestone that you need me to hit, and by when? And if I can do that, are you willing to do X, right? So that you get, how serious are you really? And if I do what I say I'm going to do, will you be behind us, so that you get some real, definitive, because then they're like, now you're putting them on the spot, right? It's one thing to say, come back to us when, or we're really excited about this, but if they're really, I don't know, I just feel like there's something about some of those kind of more direct, and what is it that you would need me to do in order to support us kind of conversation, so that you could really know, are they just being sweet and kind, or are they we really do want to see traction, and if you can get the traction that we need, we're on board, right? I think that could be a really great way to look at what the next 6 months to 12 months to 18 months might, look like in terms of dollars and or other support that you need. And then the second question that I have is, would you talk to us about what the sponsorship opportunities are that we all might either personally be able or willing or know someone who might be able to support you?
Yeah. So thanks for both questions. I never thought about going back to those organizations. I think that is great feedback and something to definitely explore. As far as sponsorship goes, there's so many options, but some of the ones that we find that could be attractive to organizations is scholarship opportunity, where a business can say, I would like to support one child or education, scholarship education, or I'd like to support XYZ amount of kids. And then we say, when the parents are applying for scholarships through us, this scholarship is called the business. That's kind of how we approached the hospital, saying, hey, Billings Clinic scholarship, when a family is applying for a scholarship, they are supporting your child's education. I think that also looks good on the organization that's providing the scholarship to say, hey, my child's getting a scholarship through them. That's attractive to me as a patient to know that another organization or hospital or clinic or whatever is supporting my child's education. That can look like sponsoring supplies, school supplies, curriculum, all of those things are initial purchases that need to be made. We want to try to alleviate the cost to parents. And so if we can provide crayons for an entire year for all the children, that is a scholarship opportunity. That is a partnership opportunity. Like yeah, I mean, whatever that looks like, it can be if you're passionate about curriculum. Well, the curriculum we want is about $10,000 for the children to service all the children, autistic and non-autistic. That's a huge chunk, but that is a quality curriculum that we feel would benefit IHC and our children. So there's just so many different opportunities for sponsorships and partnerships to be able to help the children and get us going, because all of those costs are initial costs that are going to be coming out of the funds that we've raised. And so if we can help alleviate some of those funds to then maybe hire staff instead of buying crayons. I mean, that's just an example, but yeah.
Let me ask you a question. I asked this of my friend Tim Huck, who a lot of people know with Spectrum Hope Fund. His child's autistic. And so they say like 1 in 34 children now, I don't know, you probably know the statistic better than I do, born today has autism of some kind on the spectrum. Do you feel like that is a byproduct or a function of we're diagnosing it better, or is it just happening more? I'm just really curious.
Yeah. Very controversial. I think when we're looking at facts, it's about 1 in 31 now, and 1 in 6 are girls. I think we have more understanding of what autism is and looks like to be able to say we have earlier detection, we have better tools to help diagnose a child at 2 instead of 22 that we had maybe 20 years ago. For that early education, so that early intervention, studies show that the best time to intervene is before a child turns 6. They are molding, their brain is molding, they're learning skills. And so to be able to early detect children, whether they're autistic or they have a speech and language impairment or whatever that looks like, doing it earlier just shows and allows the kids to learn more.
Set them up for success.
Set them up for success. Yeah.
Got a couple of questions for you. So one, have you considered like maybe an OT based, like a summer camp thing? It's obviously too late this year. That'd be a huge thing to plan, but I think that could maybe help you with community buy-in, maybe not fundraising, but like if you get this little taste of, oh man, this was so beneficial, then people could. And so what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, no, I haven't thought about that. I think that's great. We are hoping, not on the occupational therapy side, but we are hoping to start before September with a parenting course or a parenting class meeting to kind of give an intro into what autism is and how parents can kind of support their child through that and how parents can get support and finding resources. And so I think you are 100% getting that buy-in from community to show the need. Is super important as a new organization. keep skipping you.
Going back to my comment about asking them specifically what they need in terms of traction, if you decide to do that, I think you could also say, if the ask was pretty large initially, while I'm building this traction, are you willing to sponsor 5 kids? Or, what I mean? Like, make the barrier to entry a little lower. And then also, I'm going to go now work my hiney off to get X, Y, and Z done. But in the meantime, are you willing to take a risk? Because I think at a smaller level, because I think if you can get them to say yes to a tiny amount and then they see your hustle, then it's easy to go back and get that second, third conversation in, especially if they've already invested even just a small amount and they're excited about what it is that you're doing. So I just wanted to add that. Don't have that whole conversation and miss the opportunity to ask for something right now, right? Even at smaller.
No, 100%. I think that's great feedback.
Thank you. Okay. So back to Emily's question when she asked about sponsorship. I understand you have kind of a wide range, right? From crayons to multiple children's full year scholarships. Are you open to like in-kind donations? So for example, if a business wanted to donate crayons, could they be branded crayons that you guys would use?
Yeah,
Is that a thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think no is not an answer when it's coming to what we can and want to do. Crayons are crayons. I think anything with a name on it is a crayon, right? It doesn't, to the child, it's not going to matter, right? Because the child is 3. But I think I, as a parent, put my money and effort into programs that are supporting my child, right? Whether that's camps in our community, therapy in our community, a place that's welcoming my child. My children are difficult. And so if I can go to a place that says, I don't care, bring your child, they're great. I am more invested because they're invested in my child. And I will spend my money in places that are invested in my child, even if it's indirect investment. And so I can speak to the parent side that said, like a scholarship that says, my kid's getting money from Billings Clinic or Intermountain Health. I'm going to maybe take my child there instead, or vice versa. Places that are investing in me and my child are more attractive as a parent. So no is never an answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. I wanted to tell a quick story. So I have a friend of mine that I was coaching for a while. He's in his 30s. Anyway, he comes to me one day and he says, can I confide in you? I said, absolutely. He says, I think I have autism. And I said, okay, why do you think that? He says, well, people have told me that all my life, and it's always been very derogatory. And it's always made me feel less than and not a part of, right? And you could just see the anguish, the pain, right? Tears and stuff. And this is a grown man, very successful. And I said, well, let's get an assessment done, right? So we call around. Well, the earliest he can get in was like 10 months, right?
Yes.
You know, the story. And then to get the assessment, it was like a year.
Yes.
And so he added more stress to his shoulders. So we got him in to see a primary care doctor. And so it kind of gave him like a kind of a brush over assessment and said, yeah, you probably do struggle. You're on the spectrum somewhere, but I think it's very manageable. You've been managing it your whole life.
Right.
And so it was amazing the weight that came off his shoulders, and then all of a sudden he felt more accepted because this person really empowered him as an adult.
Yeah.
And I just think back to your point, if he had that 30 years ago,
right,
what his life could look like today. You know what I mean? So what you're doing is so important.
Thank you. Kind of to piggyback off of you as grown-ups, when you reach adulthood, many times, if you are an adult with less support needs, you've figured out life. You've figured out how to manage all of the things, whether it's autism or something else. I think understanding a lot of adults with autism that have less support needs, they're considered jerks or just blunt or introverted or whatever. And instead of having the word autism in their vocabulary to explain some of their difficulties, I think in the past, autism 50, 60 years ago, it was diagnosed as schizophrenia. It wasn't autism. Autism was kind of a new idea. And in the past, it has looked icky. Autism has looked icky in intervention in, the past 100 years of what we've done for autistic individuals. It is now evolving and really providing skills for individuals. And I think whether you start at 3 or you start at 50, to know some of the reason for some of your difficulties is freeing.
Yeah, really could help them connect the dots.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
A couple more questions. Go ahead.
So I think that touches on a subject where I think you have an opportunity in seeking sponsorship. Obviously, you couldn't go like, hey, most of your people probably have autism because you're an engineering firm. You know what I mean? You couldn't be that crass about it. But
I mean,
yeah. But I think you'd actually find a lot of really engaged people if you went and like engaged HR departments and maybe did like, hey, this is what these concepts look like in the occupational environment. Yeah. And then you're going to find professionals. You're going to find people that go, oh my gosh, like I can't tell you what I'd pay, for me to have that and what I am now going to pay for my kid to have this kind of stuff. Right. Because I know the barriers it creates to success. So if you find people that experienced and overcame those barriers or found an adaptation, then they're going to be really engaged in sponsorship because they have personally experienced the value of this in their lives and they probably have kids. So, or at least a good portion of them do. So you could really gain some momentum off that. So that's just something.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think one piece that when we're looking ahead at this organization being successful, so my daughter is 11. Her autism looks different than my son's autism. And looking at her future, and what does the workforce look like? What does life look like for her? I mean, both children, but her specifically because hers is manifesting in anxiety, in depression, in ADHD, and all of these things. How do I set her up for success? I think Infinite Horizons Center hopes to service people from 3 to infinite numbers, 99, I'm just going to say a number, and helping navigating that. So that looks like for my child and children like her, maybe a first-time job, at our center where she has professionals that can walk alongside her, to teach her skills, to teach her confrontation and how to appropriately react when your boss comes to you and says XYZ. A lot of places in Billings don't know how to support autistic adults. And so they tend to shy away from hiring someone with autism because not because they don't want them, because they don't have the skills to help support them. And so how cool would it be to have an adult, a teenager, develop skills and then go to the employer and say, I am autistic, but guess what I can do? XYZ, because IHC walked alongside and it was a safe place for me to fail. And now I have better skills. So then she can be successful as a grown-up and get a job that she wants and know how to interact with people and know how to talk to her boss and know how to interact with her peers, which are all things that she really now struggles with. But our hope is that she can develop those skills to be.
Really glad you brought that up. So did Danielle. Foster children and individuals with autism. It's like once they turn 18, we kind of forget about them. And that's when they really need the most support.
I mean, that's their adult life is more than their child life, the amount of years. And so,
and just so you know, Sharice has been taking notes the whole time, so she's got all the feedback that people are
awesome.
So
perfect.
Time for one more. Is it Austin? Is that
Austin, yeah.
Austin.
Speaking on the getting out into the world aspect, it kind of made me think of Albertsons.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the baggers have deficits that, you have the basic skills to do so. Would that be a potential sponsor where they would create a partnership there?
Well, that's a great idea. I didn't even think of Albertsons, but I think all of those places.
Austin, you're hired.
Check. Applications online.
Yeah.
No, that's a great idea. Thank
really great feedback. So what was the last question of the day then? The unveiling. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So my question is, who do I need to know that you guys know so that IHC can be successful?
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.